Hello, I am Joshua P. Warren, and this is Joshua P. Warren Daily. And for years, I have been teaching you various techniques of manifestation and magical thinking in order to change reality and become a Jedi. Well, guess the fuck what? This is the day. This is what I've been preparing you for. This is when your individual training changes and we all join forces and we become an army of Jedis, all working in unison, and we start making some big changes because we are in a battle right now with some dark forces, and I don't think I have to explain that to you. I'm about to give you some very specific instructions on what I want you to do. This is our battle plan, okay? This is how we're getting started in order to defeat these impending, agitating, terrible forces of fear that are holding everyone down. And we can do it. I guarantee you we can do it. And we're going to do it, but we have to all be on the same page. And I'm going to give you some different techniques to use depending on what you're familiar with. Those of you who have access to a wishing machine or a miraculous prayer board, I'm especially counting on you because by now you should have learned enough and experimented enough to have an understanding of how to use those tools. And so, you guys are the top brass in the Army in many cases, all right? But I understand there are many of you listening who you don't have any tools whatsoever. You don't have any of those things. That's fine. You are still an important part of this process. I'm going to give you specific instructions and techniques because enough is enough, okay? It's time for all of us to fight back and to destroy what's happening right now in the world. Last night I went on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, and we talked about a lot of stuff, including what's happening in the world right now. And a week from tomorrow, which is Friday, and by the way, everything is changing so quickly, I should state that I'm recording this on March the 19th of 2020. It's the first day of spring of 2020. Very fitting, I think, for what's happening right now with you and me, where we've had enough and we realize it's time for us to use our skills together. Anyway, a week from tomorrow, George Norrie is going to be initiating a mass consciousness experiment on his program, and that's wonderful. But you and I are getting started right now. And it's one thing to ask a bunch of people who are in a state of great anxiety, scattered thoughts, in a state of fear, to all have some wishful thinking. But you, at this point, if you've been listening to this podcast, hopefully you have, at least more than the average person, honed your skills of focus and understand more about the connection between your mindset and reality. So, before I get into these specific techniques, and you don't have to write all this down, because also I put this on social media. I've sent out a free e-newsletter. If you're not a subscriber, you can subscribe through joshuapwarren.com. You can go to Twitter at Joshua P. Warren. You'll find the information through Facebook, Joshua P. Warren. It's out there, okay? So you don't have to take notes. I've written this down for you, but it's good for me to be able to talk about this with you so that I can maybe clarify some things and give even more depth and information. Before I get into the specific instructions for you, I know right now, understandably, everybody is curious about what's happening to everybody else around the world with this situation. And so let me just take a minute to tell you about where I am and what my life is like right now. So I am currently living in Las Vegas, Nevada. the entertainment capital of the world. Some say the tourist capital of the world. I, I don't know, probably is. Uh, it's certainly one of them. And right now it's like a ghost town. And the reason is that a few days ago, the governor of Nevada decided that for the next 30 days, that no, quote, non-essential business could be open. Closed down every casino, hotel, bar, restaurant, theater. Basically, you have to stay at home unless you're going to go to the grocery store or to the bank or to the doctor or maybe the post office, and that's about it. And you know what? There are worse things in life, to be honest with you. But don't you think that's interesting? It's like you can go to the grocery store where we're going to cram 500 freaking out people together, but that's it. I mean, but anyway, 30 days. 30 days. That has never happened in the state of Nevada, and it's probably never happened in a lot of places. And you might say, well, that sounds reasonable, but get a load of this, okay? Even the mayor of Las Vegas is saying, what are you doing? This is too extreme. Las Vegas is located in Clark County, which has about 2.5 million residents. Do you know how many people have died here from this coronavirus? One. One person has died here. And yet this whole operation is being shut down. And the mayor is saying, well, don't you think maybe we should take this in increments? You know, maybe we'll wait 8 days and then figure if we need to re-up or like, nope, 30 days right off the bat. Oh, and the thing is, it's heartbreaking to see how all of these people here who work in this business, this hospitality business, many of them, paycheck to paycheck, they don't have a backup plan and they don't know what they're going to do. And I mean, they're terrified. They're terrified. Remember the quote from Yoda, right? Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Okay, I'm going to repeat that as often as I can these days because I believe it. So anyway, I happen to be in one of the better positions here because at least, I've done well for myself. I have a nice place. I'm stocked up. I'm with the woman I love, and I'm in good shape, but I really can see how horrifying this would be for a lot of people right now who have no idea what's going to happen. And this fear is being shoved down their throats. And the thing is, yes, there's a virus, but the fear is more dangerous than the virus is because the fear is what causes people to really lose their minds and start being destructive to both themselves and others. But Lauren and we decided to go out yesterday, and it was the first time since this had happened, this had all been put into effect, and go to the grocery store. And it's funny because at one point we were sitting at a traffic light at a stoplight, and this is an odd little quirky story. There was a car, a blue car of some kind. I don't know. I'm not a car guy, so I don't pay that much attention to what kind of car. Blue car, because Lauren was driving and I was in the passenger seat. And so to my right, in the other lane as we're sitting there, is this blue car. And all of a sudden, the driver of the blue car, who was the only person in the blue car, young man, looked like he was maybe 25 years old, he opened the car door and he jumps out of his car. And now you don't usually see that, right? I mean, you think when that happens, well, maybe somebody's tagging along, somebody's following him, and they've lost contact and he needs to give directions or something to the person behind him. So I didn't know. So the guy jumps out of the car and he's got a real, like, weird, kind of pissed off look on his face. And we're like, I wonder what's wrong with this fella. And then the light turns green, and this guy is not concerned at all with the fact that he is standing there next to his car when the lights turn green. What happens is there was another lane to the right of his car. Like if you're sitting in the driver's seat, on the passenger side, there was another lane. And as some other car came by, this dude runs over like a ninja and just kicks the shit out of that car. Boom! Put a big dent in it. I didn't have my window down and I could hear this guy kick this car. So this other car, which was full of people, screeches to a stop practically in the intersection. And this is happening fast, but you know how it is. You can see all these details. And the driver of that car rolled his window down and looks out and goes, "What the fuck, man?" And all of a sudden, he's about to get out of his car, and I say, "Lauren, we need to go, 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 go." Because if either one of these guys has a gun, bullets are going to start flying any minute. I've never seen that happen in this town before. Fear leads to anger, right? Fear leads to anger. So anyway, when we were in the grocery store, it was it wasn't like some shocking experience. I would say, about half of the stuff was gone. The stuff everybody talks about, yes, there was no toilet paper or whatever, and I guess we'll have to find another thing to wipe our asses on. Hopefully you have a kitty or something like that. But anyway, haha, I'm joking. So anyway, what happened was we were walking around and everybody seemed like we've accepted this, no big deal, we didn't have any problems. We loaded up our buggy, but the funny thing is we always do that. I'm sure everybody was looking at us saying like, "Oh, look at these scared assholes, who are overloading their buggy." But we don't even go grocery shopping that often. We go maybe like once a month and just buy a bunch of stuff, and then we don't have to worry about it for a month. And of course, we don't have any kids, so that helps us a lot because we're not having to like constantly supply things to other little human beings. I mean, we just know what we both need and like, and we go and we get it, and we're done for a month. So, so we loaded up this buggy, and yeah, the line was longer than usual, but it really wasn't that big of a deal. We were able to go, fill up our car with gas, all that kind of stuff. So, like I say, this for me, I'm not living in some kind of zombie apocalypse here. But also, I think most of the people around here are generally pretty cool. So, that's sort of, what I'm dealing with, but I can't leave my house now for supposedly like 27 days unless I'm just going to go basically duplicate that experience. So, hey, guess what? I get to talk even more to you. That's great. I know, seriously, I love it. I get to watch, maybe catch up on some movies, get to chill out. But one big thing I'm going to be doing is some work and manifestation and magical thinking. All right. And now is when it's time for us to get serious and combine our forces. Here is what I have prepared for all of you. Okay? Time for us to fight back against whatever is creating this darkness. And I don't care whose version of reality that you believe. I'm not here to give you a conspiracy theory. You can accept exactly what you're being told by the media and your politicians if you want to. Fine. They're showing you a bad situation. Or you can accept some other background scenario with other powers involved. Fine. Who cares? All that matters is we have a situation here to deal with, and it is a situation of fear and darkness and negativity, and so we are going to get rid of that, whatever it is. We don't have to know what it is. Okay, if I'm walking down a dark alleyway and something jumps out at me aggressively, I'm gonna punch it. I don't know what it is, but I don't like that. So get out of here. That's what we're gonna do. We don't have to know. So the most dangerous part of what is happening now is fear. And maybe you've heard this before, I'm sure you have. Fear is all rooted in the unknown, you know? It's part of being an animal. And as a guy who studies the strange and the mysterious and the unknown, I understand why that makes people afraid. But the most dangerous part of fear, or the most dangerous part of this whole situation, is the fear. Okay, that's it. That's the most dangerous component. The opposite of fear is love and happiness. Love and happiness is love is to fear and evil like sunshine is to a vampire. You understand that? Like when you say words like love and happiness, there are people who roll their eyes and go, "Oh God, are you serious? Oh, that sounds so." No, listen, it's true. All that love and happiness actually are vibrations. It's a certain frequency of vibrations. And these things that are aggressing toward us right now are also a vibration. But our vibration can be stronger than that one. And again, if it helps you envision this, envision when I say love and happiness, think of it as a ray of sunshine. And when I talk about fear and evil, think of that as being a vampire. And we are about to blast this vampire with this ray of sunshine, and it's going to cringe, it's going to run away like a cockroach, and it's going to sizzle as it backs away because it knows if it doesn't, it will vaporize. We will turn it to fucking ashes if we have to do that. And maybe I doubt if you're listening to this podcast and you've made it this far, I doubt you're one of those people who loves what's going on. Because there are people out there who are just sitting there eating popcorn like, yeah, oh, this is good. This is the Armageddon happening. Bring it on, baby. Reminds me of that quote from the Batman movie The Dark Knight by Michael Caine's character. He basically, Batman doesn't understand why he can't defeat certain enemies. And Michael Caine says, some men just want to watch the world burn. Some people are loving this because they are, I don't know, they're sad and they're sick themselves, and misery loves company, and they want to see everybody else feel like shit because they feel like shit. So if you're one of those people, hey, you can roll your eyes at what I'm saying. But if you just keep listening, maybe you'll learn something. Maybe not. It doesn't really matter at this point because I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to my Jedis out here who have had experience in manifesting things and using mind over matter. You are the ones that I care about. And there always comes a point when you have to draw a line in the sand and say, yep, there are two forces, darkness and light, yin and yang. So what I'm about to give you are some instructions that can be applied to different methods. So if you are somebody who has access to a wishing machine, I'm going to tell you what to do with that wishing machine. If you have access to a miraculous prayer board, I'm going to tell you what to do with that miraculous prayer board. If you don't have access to either of those things, that's still okay because I'm going to tell you what to do if you don't. Or let's say you have another method that you like better, another manifestation method. I'm going to give you instructions, but you're going to see the commonality between all of them and all of us coming together and working together. All right. So here is step number 1. What did I say is the opposite of fear? Our enemy in this case, it is love and happiness. So I want you to find a picture that represents something that you love. It could be a picture you already have, or just get on the internet and search and find a picture that you might be able to print out. But by love, I mean something that it doesn't matter if it's physical or abstract. It could be puppies or a sunset or an ice cream cone or a person or a memory. It doesn't matter as long as it's something that represents something that really, truly, genuinely makes you personally feel happiness and love. So when you get this, and again, I'm just going to take the approach that you have a computer and a printer and enough technical skill to print something at whatever size that you want and cut it out. And I'm going to just go with that because that's what I do. But you know what? If you have artistic ability, you could probably just sit down and draw or paint or sculpt something that represents that to you. The main thing is it has to feel honest to you. It has to feel honest. And that's what's important about any time you represent anything. I don't care if it's an affirmation, or if we are talking about something that you use magically and symbolize in other ways. The important thing is it's never going to work unless it feels honest to you. So you find this picture, and then print it out, and that's the first step. And we'll get into sizes in a minute. Okay, so you'll understand why I'm holding off on how big it has to be and all the dimensions and all this stuff. So step 2 is to now find a second picture, and that is to find a representation of your country on a map. So for example, Google your country, find a map of it, print it out, and this represents your geographic location. Now, I could advise using the entire Earth, and you say, well, Josh, why not use the Earth? Or hell, let's use the whole galaxy, or hell, let's just listen. If you lose your focus too much, this is not going to work as well. Stick with where you are, like your country, where your territory. Because there are people who listen to this podcast from all over the world, and if everybody participates, don't worry. We're going to nail this planet, but you have to pay attention to your neck of the woods. You can't fight the battle all over planet Earth at the same time. That's why you have to rely on your fellow Jedis here. So you print that out, or obtain a picture or an image of that however you want to. So now you have 2 pictures, right? One represents something that you love and makes you happy, and the other represents the place where you are located geographically. Now, if you are going to use these pics on a device like a wishing machine or a prayer board, then they ought to be small enough to fit onto the device. You already know the dimensions of your device, and also it kind of helps if you can scale them so they're about the same size. If you're not going to use these images with a device, it doesn't matter. The size and the size comparison is irrelevant. All right. So now here's what you do using different methods. If you have a wishing machine, okay, you take both of these images and you put, and let me start by saying, if you have an electronic wishing machine, turn it off, because you want the power off whenever you start doing your experiment with the wishing machine. And then after you're done, that's when you turn the power on, and that completes the transmission. If you have a wishing machine that is not electronic, well, obviously that doesn't matter. So that said, take these 2 pictures and put one on top of the other on the input plate. And I suggest that you take the picture that represents the thing you love and put it on top of the one that represents your location. Once you have those pictures on the input plate, tune the device using whatever method that you prefer. And there's plenty of different education out there. If you have any questions, like, oh, there are other methods. Yeah, you can use a lot of different methods to tune a wishing machine. And once you tune the machine, then take the picture of the location and put it onto the output plate while you leave the picture of love on the input plate. Now what you are effectively doing is transmitting from the input plate to the output plate, and at that point, basically, you're done. It's like any other process using a wishing machine. I think it's really good to take a moment when you're doing this sort of thing and really focus on what you want. But if you haven't, experience using a wishing machine, that's your method, and then you just put it in a place of respect. And if you have an electric or electronic one, like I say, make sure that you turn that on as your last step before you put it away. So that's it. It's a pretty simple, typical wishing machine scenario. Let's move on. Now let's say you have access to a miraculous prayer board. All right, now we're going to take these two picks. You put them together, one on top of the other, and put them on the middle of the board. And they should be on top of the crystal there. So, I mean, you could reverse them, but I like the idea for me of the love image being on top of the location image. Once you have them in the middle of the board, place your thumbs on the board, and then with your eyes closed or open, it doesn't matter. Say either out loud or inside your head. It doesn't matter. Say these words, and these words do matter. Say these words: I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. I know a lot of you listening right now are going, aha! That sounds familiar. Yes, that is Ho'oponopono. And I'm not going to get into what Ho'oponopono is right now. You can look that up yourself. I wrote about it in my book, Use the Force, A Jedi's Guide to the Law of Attraction. Ho'oponopono is very, very powerful at times like this because it is a clearing and deprogramming method. It's clearing for you and your reality and starts bringing the programming back to a base level. So you say the Ho'oponopono, and if you're not familiar with this, I'll say it for you one more time. You say out loud or internally, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Keep your thumbs there for at least 60 seconds while you think about what you are projecting from the picks on your board out to the universe. You can sit there as long as you want. You can sit there all day, but do it for at least 60 seconds. And when you're done, keep those pictures on top and put the miraculous prayer board in a place of respect, probably where you always have it. If not, if you don't have it in a place of respect right now, blow the dust off of it, okay? Now is the time to put it in a place of respect. And you don't have to keep those photos on top of it forever, but keep it that way for now. Now, let's say you are a person who says, gosh, you know what? I've been listening to you, Joshua, for all these years, and I've watched you on TV, and I find what you do interesting, but I've never actually acquired either of those things. I don't have a wishing machine. I don't have a prayer board. Hey, listen, I'm glad to have your ear. I'm glad to have your heart because listen, you can be helpful right now. You can really start manifesting. Maybe you've been put into a real crunch of some kind and you say, "Okay, this is what it took for me to start trying to test out all this manifestation stuff here. Fine. Here's what I want you to do. If you don't have either of those devices, well, get those pictures. All right? Go to a room where you are alone. At first, I want you to sit down and place those pictures in front of you side by side. Look at them quietly for at least 60 seconds. Think about them. Think about what you're looking at and why you have those pictures there. And then I want you to either out loud or inside your head say the Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. It doesn't even matter if you understand why you're saying those words. It doesn't. Because there's a part of you that does. And I mean, like you could rationalize it for I'm sorry. Well, everybody should have something to be sorry about. How about I'm sorry that I've been so unaware. I'm sorry that I haven't been the best person that I could be in my life. All right? There's we're talking about humility here, okay? This represents humility. I love you represents the fact that you are capable of expressing something creative and beneficial and positive that makes everybody and everything sort of, warm and feel good, right? Please forgive me is you regaining a new slate, okay? A new start, and then thank you. This is you being grateful and you saying, I have just received something, and because the universe can put you on your knees. So here it is again. You look at those pictures and you say, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. Now, put that pic of love on top of the pic of the location. And then just say one last time, preferably out loud, say, I love you. And then put those pics in a place where you will see them at least once per day. Maybe you want to put them somewhere where only you will see them. It's okay if you put them in a place where other people will see them. Now that can be the end of your process. And you can, anytime you get a chance, look at those pictures and you say that Ho'oponopono, okay? So that can be the end of your process. Unless if you have a manifesting method that you prefer, that you use all the time, like prayer, let's say you pray all the time, or you use a wand, or you use crystals, well then fine. Just incorporate that. Use your method every day next to this picture combo. And that's how you do it if you don't have a tool. Don't you see how common these different methods are? And there's no reason you can't combine them all and do them all together. And for now, that's it. That's it for now. Now, if you can, you should also tell as many people as possible about what you have done. And I know that there are some people who need to keep their work private. I understand that. Sometimes work needs to be done in private. But for now, if you can, tell others what you're doing. All right. And I'm also working on a new special Parasimatics sigil that we can all use. So I'll be sending that out soon through my free e-newsletter, which again you can sign up for if you go to joshuapwarren.com. You'll see a place where you can sign up for my free e-newsletter. And then, that'll be a whole separate process in this. You know what? Again, I understand why that some people feel like that they shouldn't talk about what's happening. But we're fighting a virus here, right? This is a virus. And I think in order to change things, you and I must become the virus. Do you see what I mean? It doesn't matter how much of a threat the actual virus is versus the creation of restrictions and fear that are being put upon us. That's just another layer of the virus. The whole thing is a virus. So the fear is a virus that may originate from, it's almost like you have the physical, organic representation of the virus, and then you have this much larger version of it, which is the spiritual energy layer of the virus. And that is what's really hitting everybody. So now it's time for those of us who have manifestation skills to realize you're not separate from your environment. You're not a victim. Yeah, like they say, you're a part of it. You're a part of it. So if you are a part of your environment, then what does that mean? That means you can participate in how this reality looks. And so the things that I'm telling you don't have anything to, I'm not conflicting at all with common health sense. It's the stuff you've heard your whole life. Yeah, wash your hands. Try, stay away from people if you can, to a certain extent. I mean, we're taking it too far, I believe. With this social distancing, like I said, a lot of it is paradoxical. Yeah, everybody stay away from each other than when you're all cramming into the grocery store together and touching each other's buggies and picking up the same shit and putting it down. So yeah, I'm not telling you not to, obey these ideas of cleanliness. But what we're talking about here is saying that's not all it takes. We are on a mission here to push back against the fear-mongering that is happening, the hysteria that is happening, the panic that is happening, that is creating this chain reaction that is ultimately making people feel like prisoners who can't go out and make a living and be free. In America, we love, or at least we used to love, give me liberty or give me death. Okay? Give me liberty or give me death. I am not going to be so afraid of death that I give up my liberty and my freedom. And right now, if we don't do something to push back against the energy that's coming in here, then we are going to end up being less free. Okay, let's just keep it right there for now. What did I tell you? Yoda has it right. Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. If you want that information that I just gave you in print, just go to my Twitter page at Joshua P. Warren. Go to my Facebook page. You probably already got it if you're a subscriber to my e-newsletter. Now it is time for you to put this into practice. And not only to put your method into practice, but be serious. We all have to do this. We all have to do this. Because we have, you're not the only person who can manifest. There are a lot of other people out there who can manifest, and they're trying to manifest something different than we are. And that's the enemy. That's the dark side that you have to push back against. That's the empire. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they are, whoever they are. And I'm not saying who they are. Look, I haven't mentioned the name of one person or political party or ideology or philosophy or anything. I'm just telling you, whatever is doing this, and I don't even know if it's from this world or another world or what the hell it is, we have got to do this to push back against it. So do your part and inform others. Now is not the time to keep your mouth shut. You got to tell, unless you have a real reason not to talk about this, you should be out there telling everybody. If they think you're nuts, if they think I'm nuts, oh well. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Tell them to listen to this podcast. Tell them to go to joshuapwarren.com. Tell them to, check out the whole website. Take their mind off things. Yes, if you're interested in these things, like the wishing machine and the miraculous prayer board and the sigil pendants, go to the curiosity shop. Learn about those things. You don't have to buy anything. Just go and learn about them. Just see what we're talking about here. joshuapwarren.com. No period after the P. And while you're there, click the link to this podcast called Joshua P. Warren Daily. Always short, free, commercial free, independent, uncensored. And let me repeat that word, independent. Independent. Very proud of that. So, when you go to the link for this podcast, you can subscribe through various means, or just follow me on Twitter at Joshua P. Warren, at Joshua P. Warren. And I usually tweet when a new one is available. There is a lot going on, and I have a lot more to share with you soon. So, thank you. I hope you're a Jedi with me, okay? For those of you who are, now's the time. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your interest and support. Thank you for staying curious. And I will talk to you again soon.